Tonight, drug overdoses in Oregon are soaring. Nearly a year after the state became the first in the country to decriminalize all drugs up to a personal use amount. That includes meth, fentanyl, heroin, and cocaine. The idea behind Measure 110, which voters passed overwhelmingly in 2020, was to treat people who are drug addicted and not throw them in jail. But 16 months into this experiment, the streets of Portland are now overwhelmed with those who are homeless, many of them overdosing on drugs. And it's not just in the state's largest city. Oregon has the second highest drug abuse rate in the country. We'd like to welcome Portland Police Union President Aaron Schmautz. Thank you for being here tonight. How is this new reality impacting the city in your view?
Sure. Thank you for having me. You know, the reality is Portland is experiencing a lot of things all at once. We experienced a decrease in our law enforcement staffing, and we've seen a lot of legislation passed that we keep hearing about these unexpected consequences or outgrowth of those decisions. You know, we've had overdose deaths. We experienced 2 in a high school this year. And the reality is we're not able to keep up with the pace and with the kind of outgrowth of the public disorder that comes from these decisions that have been made.
And as a result of that, do you feel supported in your role?
You know, policing in Portland has been a very difficult existence for the last couple of years. I feel that we've sort of turned a corner when it comes to public sentiment and when it comes to support, you know, within the community. The reality is, though, is we are so understaffed. And the kinds of problems we're discussing require a robust response from law enforcement. And also, I mean, treatment was a big portion of this decision, and we are fully behind treatment. But there are hundreds of millions of dollars in treatment that have never been spent because there's stuck in red tape and bureaucratic kind of morass. And so the reality is that while treatment's important, the most important thing is that when people need help, they're getting it, and that we're not creating more problems by not allowing our police to interdict problems before they actually occur.
And how does that impact the climate on the street? Safety for the officers out on the street and their morale?
Well, I mean, look, we're seeing continued growth in ambush style. I mean, just not in Portland, but around the country, ambush style killings of law enforcement officers. But it's really, really difficult when you wear a uniform and you want to go and help people and you just don't have the time to do it. I mean, every portion of the criminal justice system in Portland is breaking down. We need more dispatchers. We need more, you know, defense attorneys to prosecute these or to help these cases get through the system. We need significantly more police officers. And truly, we need to know that we are going where we're needed to be. But decisions like Measure 110, they create an environment where we do not have the tools we need to help people get the help they need. And that is just really very crushing when it comes to morale.
Well, you're on the ground. What are you hearing from officers firsthand as this has unfolded over the past months?
You know, I mean, my dad was a narcotics officer for 30 years. Officers, you know, in Portland, interdiction is a big piece of what we used to do to navigate a lot of low-level criminal issues. We're seeing a huge spike in violence, and a lot of that violence is tied to kind of turf wars and other things related to drug use. We're seeing, I mean, we had a substantial increase in homicides and assaults and shootings. And all of these different issues are all tied together. They're tied to a lack of standard, a lack of societal agreement that we're not going to allow just complete public disorder on our streets. And so officers are very frustrated that they don't have the time and the resources to navigate what is a city that I mean, I grew up in Portland. It's a beautiful city, but it is not going the right direction. So we need the support and the resources to ensure that we are fully staffed and fully funded and able to keep our city safe.
Is this impacting recruitment for the departments in that area, would you say? And if so, how?
I don't know that you can tie Measure 110 specifically. Recruitment has started to improve in Portland, but the reality is that, you know, the decision of do I want to be a police officer became one that was much more difficult than it had been historically in the last couple of years. Police officers are a vital piece of a woven public safety infrastructure in responding to community need, but we need the support. We need the community to be very vocal in how they want to experience law enforcement. It's a great job. Being a police officer is the greatest job in the world, but the reality is we need the support to do the job well.
And we were looking at some of these numbers as you were speaking, drug overdose deaths versus the number of people who are seeking drug treatment. It's staggering. There's such a discrepancy there. So do you believe this measure, Measure 110, was a good move?
No, it was a terrible written, poorly written law. The reality is that it was written to basically set up an environment where police officers who have no ability to detain people when they're giving them these citations, if they choose to run or anything else, we've lost the ability to hold them until we do that. And then the way citations work is they're dependent on the offender to call and seek out treatment. If we want people to get help, we need to create environments where they're ordered to do so through the courts if they've gotten to that point in their lives, or there's real kind of tools to get them there. Just saying to someone, here's a ticket, I hope that you're okay, call the court in the morning, it simply doesn't work. And it has led to an outgrowth of new drug users. It's led to the huge influx of drugs into Portland because drug dealers know that if they have a little bit with them, they can just say it's a user amount and they're not going to get arrested. And we talk about accountability for law enforcement. We need to have accountability in society as well. People need to know that if people are out there committing crimes, they're going to be held accountable. And a lot of folks who are engaged in drug use and are living on the street are engaged in low-level crime that have a huge impact on public safety. And so again, we need to get those folks into treatment, but we also need to hold them accountable when they're engaged in criminal conduct so that we make sure that our city is safe.
We have about 30 seconds left. What would you say is the best path forward?
Look, I haven't yet to speak to a single person, even people who voted for Measure 110, who now say this was a good idea. We need a pause. I don't know legislatively how we get there, but the reality is this law was a bad idea. It has created an environment where virtually every DA in the state said this is a bad idea. It's going to create a less safe environment. We need to look at how we get people help and recognize that just because someone is engaged in drug use does not make them a criminal. But when they're engaged in criminal conduct, we need to hold them accountable and ensure that we're getting them the resources they need to take care of themselves, but also make our cities safer.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.